Now at 5, area rural hospitals are preparing to take on the Omicron variant.
Millions of migrants here in the U.S. could be impacted by a reinstated Trump-era policy to remain in Mexico. I'm Skylar Henry in Washington with the details as the program goes back into effect next week.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A rural hospital in southeast Kansas says they're ready to face another surge in COVID-19 cases if the numbers rise. This is KOAM News at 5. Following a summer surge in cases caused by the Delta variant, an official with the Wilson Medical Center tells us their staff feels more prepared to handle any other uptick in cases. They say at this stage in the pandemic, they can identify better treatment options for their COVID patients.
When the Delta variant came and we had some patients that were definitely, needed to get to higher level care, and so we needed to make sure that we were able to actually get them transferred. I mean, we learned a lot through that.
In November, the hospital administered 419 COVID-19 tests and had 60 positive cases. Some road work is set to begin in Joplin next week, which is going to cause some closures. On Monday, crews are going to begin preliminary work for the 32nd Street Widening project. Their work will include removing trees from right-of-ways adjacent to the street from Schifferdecker and Central City Road. There could be temporary lane closures at different locations along that stretch. Also, Country Club Drive from 26th Street to 32nd Street will be closed from Monday through Friday to fix sewer lines under the road. Doug Hetty joins us. Boy, it's been a beautiful week, Doug.
It really has. It's turned out to be a fantastic week. Temperatures all week long, 60s or 70s, which you can't beat late November into early December. And in general, temperatures over the next couple days look pretty good, but we do have a lot of changes which are going to start to roll in. We do have some mid and upper level clouds, nothing underneath the clouds, but a very weak little wave to our south that will kind of play havoc with us a little bit over the weekend, but in general, I think it's going to turn out pretty good. Look at our temps right now. We're still sitting low to mid 60s. We're going to stay fairly mild as we go through the evening hours. We have a southerly wind. Our winds are going to switch around out of the northeast a little bit for us in the morning hours, but through the evening, we drop back through the 60s, 50s, eventually mid 40s for overnight lows. But the roller coaster ride is about to start. We're going to look at that here in just a bit.
See you then. Thanks, Doug. Concerns are rising over the Omicron variant of COVID that's now been detected in at least 6 states. Experts believe the number is likely much higher. An early study finds Omicron is at least 2.4 times more likely to reinfect someone who had COVID before compared to other variants. President Biden has launched a new push to fight COVID-19 this winter, including widespread vaccinations and increased testing. Beginning Monday, travelers entering the country will have to be tested for COVID within a day of their arrival. That rule applies to everyone, including vaccinated American citizens. Europe is seeing a spike in COVID-19 cases, and there's growing concern it could get worse with the Omicron variant. So some countries are imposing tough restrictions ahead of the holidays. Germany is restricting the unvaccinated from all but essential businesses like supermarkets and pharmacies. Austria imposed its strict lockdown last month as COVID cases grew out of control. And the UK is pushing for everyone to be eligible for a vaccine booster shot by the end of January. Controversial immigration policy put in place under President Trump is about to start up again under President Biden. But as Skylar Henry reports from Washington, the Biden administration is moving ahead with the program despite its objections to it.
The White House says President Biden remains opposed to the Trump-era Migrant Protection Protocols program, in which migrants were forced to remain in Mexico while their asylum cases were processed in U.S. courts.
Deeply flawed. That's why we stopped enrolling individuals in the program on day one and subsequently issued a memorandum in June terminating the program.
But the Supreme Court upheld a federal judge's ruling that the program was improperly shut down and ordered it to be started again. something the Biden administration now says it's prepared to do.
Our view of the program has not changed. We're working to implement under the court order.
The court ruling said the program could only start back up again if Mexico agreed to participate. But immigrant rights advocates say the administration could have done more to avoid resuming it.
We think that the Biden administration could have pushed Mexico a little bit harder to find some ways to either stop this program from going back into effect or to find ways to make it significantly better than it was before.
The rules could resume as early as Monday, with some changes. The government will have to provide COVID-19 vaccines to migrants waiting for their hearing. It'll have to ensure shelters are safe and secure, make sure each case takes no longer than 6 months, and provide better access to legal counsel.
There is no way to make an inhumane policy humane. The reality is that migrants will continue to suffer from violence and danger when sent back to Mexico, and will continue to be unable to obtain the lawyers that they need to be able to have a fair shot at winning their case for asylum.
During the first iteration of Remain in Mexico, 1% of migrants were granted asylum. Skyler Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
The Biden administration plans to spend $14 million on new tents at border crossings in Texas for migrants to attend court hearings virtually. A lawyer says 2 parents charged with involuntary manslaughter in a Michigan high school shooting left town for their own safety, but are returning to face arraignment. Authorities have been searching for Jennifer and James Crumley, the parents of Ethan Crumley, who's charged with murder and terrorism in the deaths of 4 students on Tuesday. Crumley's parents were charged today. A prosecutor says they gave their son access to a gun and did not intervene despite problems at school that day. Still ahead, disappointing news on the labor market.
The final jobs report of the year falls short of expectations. I'm Natalie Brand with why analysts are calling the news mixed and pointing to a bright spot ahead of the holidays.
And next in Health Watch, the benefit of reading an actual book to your child rather than a tablet. Topping today's Health Watch, Pfizer BioNTech says its COVID-19 vaccine could be quickly adapted to target the Omicron variant. BioNTech's chief executive says it takes about 100 days to develop and distribute a new vaccine, but it's still too early to know if a modified version is needed. An adapted serum wasn't needed for the Delta variant. Pfizer says anyone who's received the current vaccine and booster should be protected enough against severe disease. A new study out of the UK says COVID-19 variants may make current vaccines less effective. Although COVID vaccines decreased hospitalization and death, researchers found the Delta variant may have more ability to evade immunity from vaccination. The Delta variant reduced the immune response to both Pfizer and UK's AstraZeneca vaccine by 4 or 5-fold. Reading to children is critical for their development, you know that. In fact, it's recommended that parents read aloud to their kids every day starting at birth. In the digital age, many parents may turn to technology. But as reporter Bradley Blackburn explains, research shows actual books are better for young children.
Alice Liao is mom to 3 children under 4. She says story time is one of their favorite activities.
Each kiddo gets to pick a book, and we'll sit down on the couch and read the books before they officially go to bed.
And she says the family has found reading from a book is more fun than reading on a digital device.
We love it when books have like different textures. There are flaps for them to, kind of play with and uncover and see.
A new study in pediatrics compared the interactions of parents and children ages 2 to 3 when reading traditional books and tablet apps. Parents talked more to their children while reading a book, and children responded less to their parents using the tablet.
Those kind of back and forth interactions between a parent and a child are like brain food for kids. They build the foundations of children's language and social and emotional development that really span a lifetime.
Study author Dr. Tiffany Munzer is a developmental behavioral pediatrician at Michigan Medicine. She says with technology here to stay, parents should view digital media with their young children.
Finding ways to ask open-ended questions about the digital content so that it relates it back to the child's experiences. So asking, oh, what do you see here on this?
Now what will he do?
Alice limits her children's screen time and says reading together is a bonding experience for everyone.
Cuddling them while we're reading these stories, it just makes me feel really connected to them.
She says with so many moments in the day interrupted by technology, it's nice for the family to curl up with a good book. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Children who were prone to emotional outbursts also responded better to their parents when reading a traditional book compared with a device. More American children are being diagnosed with autism, according to new data from the CDC. In that new report, 2.3% of 8-year-old children have been identified with autism spectrum disorder compared to 1.9% in a report released last year. But according to the CDC, these children are being diagnosed earlier, giving them better access to the services they need. Certain pollutants may impact the percentage of boys being born versus girls. A new study from the University of Chicago compared 3 million births in the U.S. to 3 million births in Sweden. Researchers found that iron, lead, mercury, carbon monoxide, and aluminum in the air impacted the sex ratio, along with chromium and arsenic in water. Extreme drought and traffic fatality rates also played a role. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, Dollar General rolls out a new kind of store where the prices are a bit higher.
Plus, the nice temperatures stick around for a short while, then some changes. We're going to look at that coming up. Well, it turned out to be another great day for us today. All week long has been fantastic. Every single day we've been into the 60s or 70s for highs. Yesterday we set a record high. Today we made a run at a record high. We came up just shy, but another fantastic day. We're still sitting into the mid 60s. Cloud cover kept us down just a little bit, but you got to remember we should be topping out only into lower 50s for this time of the year. 64 in Nevada, 67 Miami, 64 in Pitt, Anderson 67, Neodesha sitting at about 64 degrees, a kind of light south wind helping our temperatures warm up. We have a weak front that is dropping through. You can see our northern counties, a north wind, southern counties, kind of all over the place, but this front's going to kind of sink through. So a little bit colder for us tonight, a little bit cooler for us during the daytime hours tomorrow. But overall, when you think about it, early December, it's pretty good. Nice shot. Sun setting, 7th and range line. Quite a bit of traffic out there right now, sitting at 66, northerly winds at about 5, humidity 75%. Through the evening hours, we slide back through the 60s, 50s. We'll bottom out into the mid 40s for overnight lows. And you can see those mid and upper level clouds kind of increasing across the region. We are going to have a lot of clouds this weekend. We have a weak little wave to our south. See a few showers across northeastern parts of Texas. This is very weak, and the reason why, it is cut off from the main flow of the jet, which is way up here. That's where the storm systems like to hang out. So when you get a little guy so far away from the jet stream, it's weak, it doesn't do much, but it could give us a few random showers as we go into the weekend. So let's break this down for you. Let's go through the overnight. Some random showers in our southern counties. Most of you are going to stay dry. We drop back through the 50s into the 40s by morning. As we go through the daytime hours tomorrow, we're going to have this northeasterly wind through the morning, so it's going to be cooler. We're going to be into the 50s. As we go into the afternoon, it kind of cranks around to the east. Clouds will start to thicken up again, but overall, it's going to be an okay day. 46 to start, 57 by noon, high temp is 63. Tomorrow night, we'll start to see those clouds increasing. Once again, something happened here. Let's go find out if the clicker died or if the system froze up. But tomorrow night, we will start to see those clouds increase across the region. And man, this thing totally froze up. Let's see. This hasn't happened in a while. 63 tomorrow, clouds and a few showers tomorrow night. And then as we go into Sunday, we're going to get a few more showers, but a high temp all the way up to about 70 degrees during the afternoon. Monday, much colder, high of only 45. Tuesday, back to 52. We do warm into the 60s again late next week, and big changes next weekend. I will get this fixed, so we'll look at the 7-day at the bottom of the news. But I guess the computer's just a little too warm. It's been too warm this week.
So it didn't freeze, it overheated.
Yeah, Probably.
Technology is great when it works.
Uh-huh.
It makes our jobs easier, and then when it doesn't, sometimes you realize how dependent you are on it.
Just got to roll with it.
That's right. Thanks, Jack. Hey, this year's Atlantic hurricane season was one of the costliest on record. Part of the reason is that it's in the top 3 for the most U.S. storms. Damages from 4 of them topped more than $1 billion each. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration says Hurricane Ida cost more than $60 billion. The good news is the latter part of hurricane season was quieter than forecasters had predicted. Coming up, the latest jobs report falls below expectations. First, though, we recognize a local veteran who witnessed the raising of the U.S. flag at Iwo Jima. McCune, Kansas native Frederick Mosler saw action with the U.S. Army in both the South Pacific and in Germany. Frederick Mosler is a 4-state hero. Topping today's Consumer Watch, with businesses ramping up hiring for the holidays, the monthly jobs report was expected to show sharp gains in jobs, but it surprised some experts. Natalie Brand has the latest from Washington.
The final jobs report of the year did not quite deliver the holiday cheer analysts had predicted.
I think this is a mixed report, and I would be very careful about jumping to conclusions.
The Labor Department says just 210,000 jobs were added in November, less than half of what was expected. But unemployment fell to 4.2%. CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger says that's where the good news lies.
And what's really important also to note is that the unemployment rate went down for the right reason. There were more people in the labor force, so that was a positive, and also that a lot of those people got jobs.
The Labor Department report says professional and business services had the biggest gains, followed by transportation and warehousing, then construction and manufacturing, to be expected heading into the holiday season.
We've averaged nearly 400,000 new jobs a month over the last 3 months, a solid pace.
Amid continued COVID concerns, the labor market remains tight, with more open positions than workers looking for jobs.
We're looking to put on another 40,000 people just for the holidays, and many of them, again, will stay with us long term.
The U.S. Postal Service is among employers trying to staff up right now.
We know that it's going to be another record season for packages.
As for the economy overall, Jill Schlesinger says it's a critical time with new uncertainty over this latest COVID variant.
We hope it doesn't backslide, but we really have to watch this carefully.
Heading into 2022, analysts say the pandemic could continue to impact the pace of recovery. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, Washington.
The rising cost of living is hitting home at nearly half of all U.S. households. According to a new Gallup poll, 10% of families say that rising inflation has heavily affected their standard of living. Another 35% say it's having a moderate effect. It's the most pronounced among lower income families. Dollar General is rolling out new stores to lure customers who have more cash. The company is opening about 1,000 new stores called Pop Shelf over the next 4 years. Right now, it operates about 30 of those stores, which are stocked with items for around $10 or less. It's not just adults who can have fun driving a Tesla now. The electric car maker is now selling four-wheel ATVs for children. The Cyber Quad for kids goes for $1,900. Shipping takes up to 4 weeks, but it's currently out of stock. Tesla says it's meant for children ages 8 and up. The battery has an estimated range of 15 miles, and the vehicle can reach a top speed of 10 miles per hour. A final check of the forecast up next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, Steve Hartman has the story of how a community came together to save its general store. Then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to have more on how rural hospitals are preparing for the Omicron variant. Plus, Pittsburgh Fire Department reminds residents about the dangers of carbon monoxide. And the Neosho Parks Department puts the waterfalls at Big Spring Park back into service. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. We are ending this week weather-wise the same way it began, and that is with beautiful weather.
Yeah, the entire week has been just absolutely fantastic. Finally, we get to look at the 7-day here, and you can see tomorrow 63, 70 on Sunday. We are going to get some showers in here tomorrow night into Sunday. Quite a bit cooler on Monday. and Tuesday, a few more showers, and then we warm up late next week once again. But watch this. Rain and snow chances next weekend. So a high of only 33 next Sunday. So it does start to shift a little bit.
Of course it does. Yeah. It is December after all. Thanks for joining us. The CBS Evening News is next. And of course, we're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. See you then. Let's make it a great evening.